Hello, hello. Alright, I'm gonna have to do up my charts in a minute. I've just woken up, so I'm pretty tired at the moment. Dennis, how you going, bro? Good to see you here. So I've got to take a look around. And see where we're at. Now I forgot to add this new day opening gap to the chart. So if we're still going to go a little bit higher in this PM session, since that's what we've been doing right from the middle of London until now, so yeah, if we're still going to be running higher now, I'm going to be looking for us to reach up into this midpoint of the new day opening gap from the 12th of December. And I'll draw up some things to see if we have any framework that we can work with to build a trade idea. And then also on the daily, we have relatively equal highs up here, just below this large daily fair value gap as well. Okay. Has anyone taken a trade today yet? I traded in London. I took a win there using my 1-to-1 blueprint. But since then, I've been asleep. Living in Australia, waking up now, it's like 6 a.m. for me, so that's why in this time of year I like to look at trading the PM session. Right, so let's draw out some things here. We had these two 5-minute sibbies in a row, bissies in a row here. This here as well. Then down here, using the high of the opening range gap, coupled with another 5-minute fair value gap to run higher. Doshi, hey bro, how are ya? You taking a trade today, Joshi? Yeah, that's good, man. You'll learn it all pretty quick. Like, I reckon when I first started learning everything to do with trading, ICT and whatnot, it probably took me, 6 months to really get a hand on all the concepts and whatnot. Sunny Coast, nice. I'm from Adelaide. The Sunny Coast is very nice. I've been there a couple times. Beautiful spot. Diego, thanks for the sub, bro. Yeah, Josh, I'm glad I can help, man. It's definitely pretty overwhelming at the start with so many sources out there on, you know, how to trade, what to trade. So finding someone who, you know, has already gone through that process and then can give you an idea on how to do it yourself, that's, you know, it's one of the best parts about it. So if we're looking down here around 2 p.m, just getting a notification from you as well, Joshy. Thanks for the sub, bro. Yeah, around 2 p.m, around the 1:50 to 2:10 p.m. macro, we actually did get a run lower, which was technically sweeping some sell side here. Right, so we swept sell side with a fair value gap. We reached down, I'm just trying to see if there was any PD array that we reached into. Oops. So trading at the new day opening gap low here when we swept sell side, and then we had us run back higher. This 2 p.m. candle here, we inversed, which is what we used to run and close through that sell side. That's an inversion fair value gap there. Coupled with this 5-minute BC, we ran back up, change in state of delivery. Unfortunately, it was outside that macro window. So if you're looking to trade the one-to-one blueprint that I talk about, you wouldn't have got an entry there, but the framework was kind of here for that as well. I mean, if you were eager and pressed the button pretty quick, this fair value gap here at 209, coupled with the inversion fair value gap, that could have been your entry to then trade higher. You could have targeted this high over here, or I probably would have done a 10-point stop, something like that, and then 10 points here, quick win. Trade idea was there. That was quite nice. I wasn't looking at the charts then, but that's something I would have been watching if I was on a little bit earlier. Joshy, so yeah, if you're looking for equal highs or lows, you look for, I'll look for that on any time frame. Ideally, your equal highs or lows are probably on like a 5-minute minimum, and then look up from there. So 5-minute, then 15-minute, probably 30-minute hourly, and then daily. That's probably what I'll look at. And then, yeah, I like to always execute on the 1 minute, but sometimes I'll execute on the 5-minute as well. It really depends on how fast we're moving at the time and the structure that we're building. But like, for example, on the daily, you might be able to see it better on the 4-hour. Oops. We did have these relatively equal highs here. And these are daily highs. And so we've swept those already, which is why leading now into the PM session, I'm not expecting a whole lot to happen since we've had a big run up. Almost 400 points. So for us to look for something now, you know, it'd have to be pretty spot on otherwise, or, you know, just a little one-to-one trade. If you're looking for any significant move now, it's probably not going to happen. But we can still find something small to trade within the charts anyway. I'll overlay a couple, oops, not that. Overlay these quadrants that I've put on the chart here now are a daily wick, 7th of Jan. I'm just going to keep these on the chart in case we do begin to trade lower, and there'll be other levels of confluence that I'll use. But I doubt we'll reach that low anyway. But we're nearing onto the 250 macro now. So we've got to keep in mind what's happened just before. And then try and build some framework leading up into this 250 macro to see if we can find something small to trade. Our target is the midpoint of this old new day opening gap. Since it's an unfilled new day opening gap, so we do want to see it reach all the way to the high, but that's not what we need. We need a base hit. If we run lower, could use this as a breaker. We also have this 1 minute fair value gap as well. But we'll wait to see what happens if we do trade lower. Ideally, we do get a little retracement and then some continuation higher. That would fit in with the narrative for the day so far, which is just running higher. And then our target here, because I don't really have a lower target, leading into the end of the day here. We could see, since we have just run in one direction all day, we could see a run, to take out some sell side before the end of the day and then close, a little bit within the range. But we'll wait and see how we start to move into this last hour and judge that when we get there. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the PM session on most days. Some days you do get a really nice PM session, especially when you have afternoon news that comes out later in the day. Otherwise, it can be fairly slow. Kind of similar to London. Also, London does move better than the PM session more often than not, I feel. Yeah, lower volume into the PM session, for sure. Unless there is a, PM news driver. So I've been trading for probably leading up to it's probably just been 4 years now. And it's gone quick, to be honest. I was just lucky that when I started, I found ICT straight away. I watched a few different other videos of people talking about other strategies and whatnot at the beginning, but it was nothing that I was really too interested in. I wanted to know why things are happening, not just following patterns. Which is why I found ICT to be so good. Greybeard, hey man, how are you? Welcome. I'm good, thanks, man. Just hoping we can find something in this PM session here. Get a trade example for you guys, that'd be nice. Who in this chat's been trading for the longest, do you think? Yeah, that's good, Joshy. I'm glad that you found that. You found the answers. Soon it'll all start to click for you. Yeah, honestly, this volume at the moment, and it's expected, isn't it? We've moved up almost 400 points. In one direction. We've swept a lot of buy side liquidity. Can't expect too much from the day really after that. But leading into the last hour, I always find something. Some little opportunity. Especially even if you get nothing for the whole last hour, leading into the last 10 minutes of the day. Well, until 4 PM, so 3:50 to 4 PM. That last 10 minutes is usually an injection of volatility that you might be able to capture a trade on. So if we're going to get any run lower, I'd probably look at targeting something down here. So higher, midpoint of this new day opening gap. If we move lower, I think down here. Now that's purely because we have this internal sell side here on this displacement leg higher. And then this low is in our current new week opening gap. So, and if I take a fib on today, I have traded commodities before, Joshy, but it's usually just indices. Yeah. But commodities are good. I'll sometimes trade gold, especially around this time of year for us in Australia. Like outside of indices, I might trade gold purely because I can trade it in Asia and still often get some good volatility. But otherwise, nah, I like to stick to NASDAQ. It's just what I've been trading ever since I started. And you know, when you have one good asset that you know how to trade well, you don't really need to expand too much. You should just stick to at least, you know, you can trade more than one. Like trading one or two is usually good, but if you're really good at one, why try and trade more? Yeah, this macro looks like it's doing sweet fuck all at the moment. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how it feels trading NASDAQ these days. And it's also good because you can really judge, you know, how you're moving. You know that when, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I find that usually I know NASDAQ is moving normally when 10 points is like pretty attainable. But let's say 10 points all of a sudden looks like this on the chart, like a lot smaller. Like we've got much larger ranges in, you know something's up. You know, there's like something impacting the charts outside of the norm, which is, you know, mainly a geopolitical event or something like that, without even having to look at the news. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, looking, you know, trading New York Open, I usually like to finish trading by at least 11 a.m. purely because of that as well. And I think that's, you know, that's what ICT will say all the time as well. Trading from 9:30 to 11, you know, that's the morning window that you want to be looking at. Anything after that, you start to lead into lunch, you know, things change. You start getting raids on, you know, buy stops, sell stops from the morning. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you learn everything the hard way in trading. It's not an easy game. Not an easy game. What would I have done this morning? So wow, it was just an immediate rip. Turn this on. So yeah, the first presented fair value gap from 9:30 onward, 9:31 wasn't even reached. This morning was tough unless you got an entry before market open. Evan, how you going, bro? Good to see you here, man. Yeah, I slept. I didn't trade New York AM today. So I literally just woke up at like 10 to 6 and then hopped on here for 6 in the morning for me anyway. I can't believe, Heaven, what we were talking about in London session. Because what my entry was here. And I was saying, fuck, I hope this isn't the one shot, one kill. And it was. That's the scalp I took for anyone who isn't part of any of the discords that I'm in, so didn't see that. And I was saying, shit, this could be the opportunity for a one shot, one kill. And it was. It would have been a good 300 points, those daily equal highs, unfortunately. But yeah, literally, if I was looking at trading the New York AM, it would have been very tough to, unless you were to get in at this new day opening gap, and then as we swept, you know, this kind of sell side here. You know, prematurely, I never usually get in just before the open though, because you don't know what way it's going to rip. Are we moving higher here now? Maybe. Evan, did you get stopped out on your entry long in London? Now, if Ollie is here, we actually have the midpoint of this new day opening gap overlapping with regular trading hours at distribution level. So this is definitely something good to keep an eye out on for the high of the day, potentially. Greybeard, so I'm yet to put together a solid streaming schedule. It was a lot easier for me, and it will be a lot easier for me later in the year when the times for daylight savings and stuff change again. But at the moment, I'll probably be looking to try to stream 2 to 3 days a week, and then I'll probably put out a put out a schedule at the start of every week for what I'm going to stream. And it'll either be London or the PM session, depending on the news that's coming out in the week as well. Ollie, what was the low of the day level? I'm trying to look, but I can't see it. I see we're in the gamma flip. Yeah, heaven, exactly. Like, I could do it, but my brain just gets fried that early in the morning, especially if I'm trading from 1:30 to like, 4 in the morning. Yeah, the low of the day was perfectly around as well. We had this daily wick lower quadrant, and it actually overlapped with the midpoint of a daily wick as well. So there were two daily wick quadrant levels here, which happened after a sell-off from the start of London. So this was due to swing lower. And then we had S&T with the bodies here, which most people don't pick up on. And that's why I was thinking, oh, this could be a one-shot, one-kill. But I was still wanting us to see Friday's low get taken, since we were so close to it. But yeah, it was a proper good fake out for Friday's low. And it started the one-shot, one-kill entry for the run higher. Pretty wild. So we had a small run there. Inversion fair value gap. See, if I was trading that one-to-one blueprint, that wouldn't really... Okay, I should pull it up here. It wouldn't really fit the criteria here because although we are in a high time frame PD array, we are in a new day opening gap. We're not really reaching into a specific level of that new day opening gap. Nothing on the... No high time frame inefficiency. Whereas, say, for example, this was a high time frame fair value gap. We'd swept this high, reach into that, broke lower. I would look for an entry around here in this inversion fair value gap, or just one of these bearish fair value gaps that we're forming as we run lower. That'd be something I'd look for just for a quick scalp. Lower into the range, but we're not fully fitting the criteria for me there. We also technically don't have a change in state of delivery yet until we close like below Below here, really. That'd be a change in state of delivery. Could even see this be our run on liquidity, right? That could be your small run. Even if you're trading on a much smaller time frame and you're looking for smaller wins, you know, something like that, that could be your run on liquidity. You have a fair value gap here, entry for a few points, stop a few points. That's proper algorithmic trading, that. Kevin, did you take a trade in the AM session today? Or did anyone else watching take a trade in the AM session? It looked like it would have been tough. Yeah, Phil, did you do dirty? That would have hurt. Would have hurt big time. I'm gonna keep a note of this 2-minute fair value gap that we formed here. Yeah, literally ripping straight from the open. You know, it's a tough spot. It's not something I'd be able to trade, just ripping in one direction from the open. I need more structure than that to form after 9:30 for me. This could have played out nicely for the 1-to-1. Would have almost got it if I did 10 points. But no change in state of the delivery. Unless you're counting this 3 PM baby swing low here as a change in state of delivery, then it could have been. I like to treat this last hour of trading similar to how you treat London. So in London, you can have your 250 to 310 macro, but then you can also see price start to move quite nicely towards the middle of the hour. So nearing 330, you can see some decent movement as well. But then you just need to be careful for the last 10 minutes of the PM session, which can often be pretty volatile. Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had too much else to really go over yet. Closest thing we had to a nice trade was around 150 to 2 PM. Next time I do a PM session drain, that's when I might have to hop on closer to the 150 PM macro. So we're about to inverse this 5-minute fair value gap as well. So in the end, we did get a little nice scalp from here. Honestly, even if I'm looking for a scalp, right, I want it to be part of a longer trade opportunity. So I want to be building framework that looks like, say, we're going to target sell side all the way down here. Because if we're getting a larger move and a larger run for a pool of liquidity, say for lower for this example, then I at least know getting 10 points is going to be fairly easy. Whereas if we're in real low volatility conditions like we are right now, 10 points can often take, quite a while. I don't have any immediate, affinity for us to reach this low yet, which is why looking for something like this as it was happening wasn't something I was too keen on. But now that we're breaking bullish PD arrays and starting to move away from this small consolidation patch that we were in and move lower, it makes me feel more confident that we might be able to reach into one of these sell side pools. Mark this one out instead. Put both of these 1 minute fair value gaps together. I haven't been looking at how ES is going. How is ES going? So we're actually reaching into the high of the Wednesday, the 7th of Jan. So this level here at 25,996.25, which here was the previous week's high. So those are levels that you just want to be mindful of as we're trading as well, because usually if we have a high time frame key level like that, like a previous week high, and if we were to create a PD array around that level now, whether that's a fair value gap, order block or whatever, that'd just be extra confidence for me to be able to use that PD array in a trade. So on the hourly chart, we swept the 2 p.m. candles high. Now, if we were immediately going to run with the 2 p.m. low, that's also this sell side level that I marked out here. And we could see that leading into the end of the day, potentially back into this week's new week opening gap. We're in our 315 to 345 macro in here for the last hour. You can see there. Turning out to be somewhat of a nice move lower. Around 50% of this range right now. That's what we're in as well. Has anyone here taken a trade this afternoon? Like, we're moving lower, but it's a bit of a grind in doing so. Greybeard, where'd you short from? Oh yeah, we're using like the midpoint of this 5-minute inversion fair value gap or this small fair value gap here. We're using either of those to go short. I assume you just probably moved your stop to break even too early. Is that what you mean by getting stopped out? 240. Oh right, yep. So you went short a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's unlucky. Yeah, we have smaller little stop rate above buy side before then actually running lower. Yeah, losses are all part of the game though. Over time, just sticking to whatever your model is, being consistent, you should come out on top. That's for sure. I think the hardest part is just learning what model suits you and how you want to trade. I mean, for a long time, I didn't necessarily have a model that I traded. I was sort of just trading price action, which I still kind of do now. I definitely have more models that I'll frame every trade that I take on. Even though I can trade without models, just reading price action. At least if you're sticking to a model, it's a repeatable plan that you know how it should play out. And it helps with the mental game as well. If you're always taking the same model trade, then you're not too fussed on the outcome overall. Whereas if you're trading without a model, you're always a little bit more on edge in that trade because you're not familiar with how, you know how you want it to play out, but you're not necessarily in the mindset of how it should be playing out. Yeah, I get what you mean, Greybeard. Like, it takes time to sort of to get past that impulse that, you know, a lot of traders have, which is you want to get in and get out, make some money. And sometimes, you know, you will take a trade where 1 out of 3 of your rules are met and you'll take a win and you'll be like, oh, this is great. And then in future, you got to do the same, but over the long run, it's going to cost you. $984. Okay, so you're short from down here, around where we are now. Yeah, I don't mind shorts. Like, the idea of shorts are there, but I don't really have anything in here that I'm willing to take a trade on. No model. Yeah, anyway. But it's around that 3:30 time now that I was talking about earlier, when you do start to get, you hit sort of a sweet spot where you can either get a run back on stops, like back up here, or if we actually are targeting sell side, we start to build framework to go lower. But we're still respecting this fair value gap that we used before to run higher. So I wonder if something like this will be used to get a push higher. We'll see. I don't like that. Greybeard, if you get stopped out again here, I'd like just try and sit back. You know, oftentimes you can turn a couple losing trades, which don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but you can turn a couple losing trades into a snowball of a lot of losing trades. And then either if you're trading prop firm money or whatever, you know, that's when you blow accounts just like doing that. Even now, if I take a loss and then my model's still in play, so I'll take another entry and take a second loss, I still get the impulse to go in again just to make the money back. But that's when I just close my account for the day because I'm not in the right headspace anymore. We just reached optimal trade entry as well. And that's part of the reason why I've highlighted this fair value gap here. It overlaps with the 62% retracement level here. Is a scalp viable here? Maybe. Yeah, good Greybeard. That's a good rule to have. This is tough. There are times when I would like to see this. We get a bearish fair value gap, inverse it, and then come back lower. There's technically a breaker that we have forming. A small breaker, but we're down lower in the range here. So there have been times when I've traded this before, targeting sell side, for example, here. I'll enter here now, and the trade will play out. There's been other times when I might enter here, we get another run back up, we start to chop a bit, you know, I get stopped out, and then later we have the actual move. So considering where we are in this internal range, this isn't really a spot where I'd want to try and enter. If this was higher up, if this happened up here, that's definitely a trade I'd probably enter on. But when this does happen, what I like to look for is candle bodies closing below and through swing highs and lows. So if this 335 candle was to close below here and stay closed below, that'd be a better sign that we're bearish for me anyway. That's why it's always good to watch how candle bodies close because the wicks do the damage. The bodies are what's telling the story. So for me, that's not a sign that we're immediately going to run lower here. So we're just sweeping that swing low. We're not closing below and through. It's the same thing with fair value gaps. Like this fair value gap here, right? If we're looking at this by itself, we have one candle, which is a gap. The second candle, which forms the fair value gap, didn't even close below the 330 candle. So for me, it's a bit of a nothing fair value gap, which is why initially we don't respect it at all. A fair value gap needs displacement. There is no real displacement happening with this candle. It's just a regular gap. And ICT talks about this stuff a lot when you go, into advanced teachings about fair value gaps and inefficiencies. This is, it's just a bit of a nothing candle. Whereas these up here that I marked out earlier, even though at the time I wasn't confident in taking a short here, they're true fair value gaps. We're displacing lower. We have multiple candles in a row which are closing below one another. All right, we're getting close to the last 10 minutes of the day. So I'm going to watch up until 4 p.m. or just after. If there's nothing I like, then we'll move on, and I'll be trading London session tomorrow or today for me. I don't think I'll be live for London. And then I'll look to see what news we have to determine when I stream next. Whether it's tomorrow's PM session or the day after potentially. Wednesday we do have CPI, so nice. So we would have got a nice little run from here. And that's as I was saying, we're gonna run lower, higher, and then back lower again. Sometimes I do take this trade and sometimes it plays out like it does here. Other times I'll take a loss from being, down in the lower half of the current dealing range. So yeah, the scalp was there. If was to go for a 10-point TP and a 10-point stop. That's good, man. I hope it plays out for you. Where have you got your profit target? Yeah, where's your profit target? I think this last 10 minutes is probably going to run us below sell side here. Because if we're going to finish the day from how we've been trading so far, we haven't really had any run on sell side since the open. Unless it was around, you know, this 1045 area. That was our one run on some minor sell side here. But if people have been long since the start of the day and they've been holding up until now, a lot of people are probably going to trail their stops to below, you know, this sell side here or this sell side over here to the left. So I think we've probably got to take out one of those before we finish the day in regular trading hours. So we're deep within the optimal trade entry here now in this old inversion fair value gap and this old 5-minute bullish fair value gap as well. I don't think that with where we are now, I'm going to get a trade today. But we'll still tape read and watch to see how this final 10 minutes plays out. Nerd Tendo, hey bro, how are you? Welcome. That's good, man. How's your trading gone today? What type of instrument? So I'm trading NASDAQ right now, if that's what you mean. Yeah. So I trade futures usually. At the moment, I'm trading NASDAQ, and I usually always trade either the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. Sometimes I trade gold. Yep, Euro USD. Is that what you're trading? Yeah, it has. And I mean, the NASDAQ's definitely been chopping people up over the last, well, over the start of this year so far anyway. And usually it does do that until probably the next, couple weeks, we'll start to see price get a bit more friendly. And then leading into February, which is when a lot of people come back to the charts, purely because that's when price action starts to get back towards its best, Yeah, a lot of people feel like that, but there's still certain things that we can read in price, even when it is hectic. It's just a lot harder than usual, and for a lot of people, it can, be a bit overwhelming. Yep. So I always trade ICT concepts. That's, how I learned everything about trading. One of the strategies and models that I have taught is, I'll put it up here again, my one-to-one trading blueprint. I made a YouTube video about this as well. Essentially, that's the criteria I look for just to get a one-to-one trade. But outside of that, I do trade a lot more. Let me just get rid of that. So this is our 350 volatility that's coming in for the last 10 minutes. And as we thought, sell size probably definitely hit. Nothing that I could have really got in on there unless I used this BISI that I marked out to go short. But that's nice. If we were short from somewhere up here, that would have panned out quite well. Would have been something like a 40-odd point trade. That's good, man. Whereabouts did you short from? Have you taken profits yet? Ideally below the sell side is probably where you at least partialed. That would have been good. No profits yet. Whereabouts is your target? How low are you looking for price to go? Yeah, this is a 1 minute chart. Yeah. You can see down at the bottom of my screen, I've got the ticker and the time frame. And also up here at the top as well. think since we ran this sell side already at the start of this last 10 minutes, I don't think we're going to get much else happening. We could get a bit more of a lower stop rate. But since we've swept this key level already, yeah, I'm not too sure. Might have to call it a day in a minute and come back for London session. Sweeping sell side, reaching back in to around the new day opening gap low. This 5 minute fair value gap that we have over here as well. Yeah, no, definitely no other big move gonna happen here. Gallo, not at all. What Nintendo down here? Is this where you got out? At this 5 minute fair value gap. Alright, I'm probably going to look at closing down the stream soon. From when I started streaming today, we didn't really have much of an opportunity apart from up here, which at the time we were considering taking a short from up here, but it just didn't fully fit the criteria that I wanted it to. Like, it was good in the end, you know, it was a 250 to 310 macro. We swept this minor buy side after sweeping the previous week's high. We then broke lower. Fair value gap would have been good for your entry, targeting sell side down here. Would have been a nice 40 odd point trade. Oh, Gallo, that's perfect, man. Yeah, that's a good entry. That's where I was considering taking a short as well, but it was just, I don't know, it just didn't sort of fit my ideal criteria, so I didn't. I probably could have tried and jumped in with like lower leverage than I usually would. Yeah, nice. That's a decent TP, Nintendo. Something that we could definitely reach. Yeah, you don't use the 1 minute. I use the 1 minute more often than not for my entry. Sometimes I enter on the 5 minute, but I think more often than not, it is the 1 minute that I'm trading on. Even this here, using this old inversion fair value gap, overlapping with this 1 minute bearish fair value gap. Technically could have used this as a breaker, even. if you're wanting to scalp lower again, could have been a viable scalp. Yeah, that's true, Gallo. Very nice. Very nice trade there. Yeah, closing below, inversing this on the 15-minute. Retracement higher. That's a good entry. All right, well, thanks everyone for watching today. I'll put notifications on YouTube, or if you're part of any of the Discords I'm in, I'll let you know in there as well when I'm going to be streaming next. But yeah, I'll make a schedule and I'll put it up. Yeah, and I'll see when I'm going to be streaming later in the week. We might be streaming the PM session again tomorrow. But yeah, I'll let you know soon on my socials, so stay tuned. Thanks for that, guys. Good chats today. And hopefully I see you all back in the next one. Good luck with your trade, Nintendo. Good stuff, Gallo. And Greybeard, I'll see you in the next one as well, man. All right, cheers, guys.